Hey there, I'm Jess Larson and welcome back to Plays Well with Butter. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make one of my all-time favorite recipes, my best ever bolognese. Now, bolognese is the slowly simmered ragu sauce that's signature to the Emilia-Romagna region in northern Italy. I fell in love with it during my time working as a server in a fine dining northern Italian restaurant. And in the past decade plus, I've toyed with and tweaked this recipe in order to make the perfect bolognese at home. It yields a balanced bolognese sauce with seriously rich flavor, and it just begs to be tossed into a big pile of pasta. Now, it does take some time to throw together. That's just the nature of bolognese, but it's so worth it. So we better get started. Like many classic Italian dishes, this bolognese recipe uses really simple ingredients. We have some flavorful base veggies, we have some fragrant aromatics, we have some tomatoes, which is a little bit more Italian-American in style than traditionally Italian. And we're gonna cook them with beef, pork, pancetta, and a little bit of wine. But the first thing we're gonna do is prep these foundational components. So I'm going to start by prepping the sofrito. Sofrito is basically the Italian holy trinity of carrots, celery, and onion. And traditionally you want to use like a 1:1:1 ratio of all three. But I love carrots and I don't love celery, so I usually go a little bit light on the celery and a little bit more generous with the carrots. Plus the carrots add a nice natural sweetness to bolognese that I think is just really beautiful. Now, if you want a slightly heartier bolognese sauce, you can certainly dice all of these veggies by hand. But when I crave bolognese, I want it as fast as possible. So it's nice to let the food processor do all of the work. So we're just giving these veggies a rough chop. Then we're gonna use our food processor to process them down much finer. You're gonna wanna start by pulsing to break everything up a little bit. And then you can just let it run. Now you wanna make sure not to let it get pureed, but a nice rough chop is beautiful and you can see everything is really fine. That's exactly what we want. So I'm gonna transfer this to a bowl. And now we're going to prep what's called a pancetta. So I have a lot of garlic that I'm just gonna add right back into that food processor. There's no need to even wash it out between these steps. And to that, we're also going to add some pancetta. Now, pancetta is kind of like Italian bacon. It's not smoked, so it doesn't have that smoky flavor, but it has all that richness of pork belly, and it's absolutely delicious. This is one of the foundational layers of flavor for our bolognese sauce. And what we're gonna do is let the food processor process this into a really smooth paste. I mean, garlicky bacon. There's no better starting point for a sauce than that. With our pancetta prepped, with our sofrito prepped, we can get cooking on the stovetop. So the first thing we're gonna wanna do is render out that pancetta in a little bit of olive oil. So I have my olive oil in a hot pan. We're gonna add this pancetta-y, garlicky goodness. Sizzles are always a good thing when it comes to bacon. So we are sizzling and looking beautiful. I can smell the garlic already, which is exactly what we want at this point, because what we're doing right now is we are building the foundation of flavor for the entire sauce. So we want to really take our time here and not rush things. We want to coax out all of the flavors of these base ingredients, the garlic, the pancetta, the sofrito, and let them brown up really, really well, because brown food is flavorful food. And a flavorful base of this sauce will mean a really flavorful restaurant-worthy bolognese. All right, I can see that my pancetta is getting nice and golden brown. It's rendered beautifully. And this is the perfect time to add our sofrito. Add it right into the pot. Add it right into the pot. And we'll season this very generously. That's another thing to keep in mind as you're trying to build a flavorful sauce. It's super important to season every single layer. Give it a good stir to mix it into that pancetta. And now we kind of just wait. We're gonna let this cook for a solid 15 to 20 minutes. The goal here is to get really rich brown and caramelized flavor. And again, this is a step that you can't really rush. We are building the foundation of the sauce and taking the extra 10 or 15 minutes that it really takes to brown these veggies thoroughly makes a huge difference in the overall bolognese. Our sofrito has been cooking and browning for a solid 15 to 20 minutes, and we have beautiful color. It is nice and browned, and I can see that there are some brown bits forming at the bottom of the pan, which is exactly what we want. Do not rush this step. This is the base of flavor for the entire sauce. But at this point, we're ready to go on to the next step. So I am just pushing all of the sofrito to the edge of the pot, and we will add our meat. So here I have a pound of ground beef and a pound of ground pork, and I am just seasoning it very generously. If your grocery store has a meatball mixture that has ground veal in it, that's also a very delicious addition, but this is the combination that's most accessible to me. And I'm just gonna break it up a little bit so a lot of it comes into the surface with the pot and we get nice browning. And we'll let this cook for 4 to 5 minutes until it is nicely browned. Our meat is getting nice and brown. We have lots of great color, and I'm just kind of stirring it into the pastata and the sofrito mixture as it cooks to get it all into one delicious mixture. And we have one more component left to brown, and that is tomato paste. I love tomato paste for its really rich, concentrated tomato flavor. It adds a lot of rich flavor to the bolognese sauce. But the secret when you're working with this amount of tomato paste is you have to let it brown for 2 to 3 minutes to kind of cook off that initial canned taste and let its flavors really meld with the rest of what we have going on here. So I'll give it a good stir to mix it to combine, and then we'll let this cook for another 2 to 3 minutes until it's really nice and deeply red. Once the tomato paste browns, it turns a really beautiful, dark, deep, rich red. And now we can kind of pull together the rest of the sauce. So the first thing we're gonna do is deglaze with a little bit of red wine. You certainly don't have to use the nicest red wine here. A medium-bodied red is perfect. I love using an Italian red if I have it on hand, like Chianti. And when you deglaze, we're adding a bunch of liquid to a hot pan, so it creates steam, and that lifts the brown bits that have formed through all of this cooking so far off of the bottom of the pan. You just scrape it a little bit. Those brown bits are flavor, so we want every last one of them for a richly flavored bolognese sauce. And that wine should cook off in no time, so we can continue building our sauce. The next thing that's gonna go in is some crushed tomatoes. I love using fire roasted crushed tomatoes whenever I can find them because they add another smoky, rich layer of flavor to the bolognese sauce. So you can see this mixture is really thick. It needs a little bit of liquid. So what I've done is I've just added some water back into the tomato can, and we'll pour that right in. You could also use chicken stock or beef stock if you have that on hand, but water works great too. And that is the consistency that we're looking for at this point. The only other thing left to add is our aromatics. So I have some fresh rosemary and thyme that I've tied together into a little bundle here. There's really no need to chop everything for a sauce like this. You can put the herbs in whole and they will infuse their flavor into the sauce. No chopping required, and it makes it really easy to just remove it at the end. I've got some dried bay leaves, and the secret ingredient, a hunk of a Parmesan rind. Now, most grocery stores sell these near their cheese assortment, but a Parmesan rind is full of umami, rich flavor. So whenever you're making a sauce like this or a soup, it is like the secret ingredient that will take it to the next level. Add that right in, and we will let this kind of come up to a good simmer, and then we will reduce it as low as we can and let it simmer for 90 minutes. When your bolognese sauce is just about ready, maybe you have 10 to 15 minutes left of simmering time, you're gonna wanna drop your pasta. This is a rich, hearty sauce, so you need a pretty hearty noodle to hold up to it. You could use pappardelle, you could use fettuccine or tagliatelle. Here in the States, you'll often find bolognese paired with spaghetti. but I like using bucatini. Bucatini is a long noodle-like spaghetti, but it's a tubular pasta, so it has a hole down the middle, gives it a really nice chewy texture. So I have a pot of generously salted boiling water here, and we'll just drop in our bucatini. Bolognese has simmered. You can see it's reduced some, so we've got all of the flavor out of all of those ingredients. You can see what a richer color we have. That's exactly what we want at this point. So now we're gonna give it a couple of finishing touches. The first thing we wanna do is fish out those spent aromatics. We've got the Parmesan rind, those bay leaves, that herb bundle of fresh rosemary and thyme. They've all kind of fulfilled their flavor destiny, so we don't need them anymore. So the last finishing touches we're gonna add, we've got some finely grated Parmigiano Reggiano and some heavy cream. And what the heavy cream is gonna do is it's going to sort of balance out all of the richness of the sauce, balance out the brightness of those tomatoes, and brighten the color back up. So let's give this a good stir, and this is looking perfect. Once your pasta is al dente, you'll add it right into the pot with the bolognese, and we're gonna toss it together. The goal of a perfectly executed pasta dish is cohesion. What you wanna do is you wanna always finish your pasta in whatever sauce you've prepared in order to create a cohesive dish rather than a separate component of sauce and a separate component of pasta. So what you'll do is you'll finish them together over really low heat, let them kind of simmer together and meld into one delicious pasta. As you're tossing your pasta together with the bolognese sauce, always look to see how it's feeling. And if you want it to loosen up a little bit, add in some of the reserved pasta water. It'll marry the two components together nicely. If you want it a little bit richer, add in the heavy whipping cream. And if you want it a little tighter, you can let it simmer for a little bit longer or add in some Parmesan cheese. But this is looking perfect to me. I think I speak for us all. I love finishing pasta with lots of freshly grated Parmesan, and the richness of this sauce really benefits from a little fresh parsley as well. And I mean, that looks picture perfect, restaurant worthy, beautiful pasta bolognese at home. Dig in and give it a try. Because we gave it such a long time to simmer, we coaxed all of the flavors out of all of those ingredients. We've got the heartiness from the pork, the beef, the pancetta. We've got all of the fresh flavor from those veggies, the tomatoes, kind of bring everything together, coax it all out, and it's something that really tastes like more than the sum of its parts. That is so good, and you are going to be obsessed. So head over to Plays Well with Butter to grab the full recipe. It also includes slow cooker and instant pot directions if you have a different time frame. Make it soon, share it with the people you love. They are seriously gonna be so impressed by your restaurant-worthy pasta bolognese. And be sure to like and subscribe for more unfussy recipes that pack a big punch of flavor. I'll see you next time.